and this going to be some more short covering. Now we are in line with the Asian markets. 1.75% is what we have. We have Manish Sonthalia now joining us from Motilal Oswal PMS now. Manish, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining us. We've had a big rally in April. You think that's sustainable? And as a portfolio investor, what's your positioning right now?
Yeah, we have seen broadly a 20% plus up move from the lows that we saw in the month of March. We believe that 10,000 in the Nifty and sustainable levels beyond 10,000 is only possible post December. So between now and December, I think the markets are going to hover between 9,000 and 10,000 broadly.
Okay, Manish, therefore you must be in buy mode now.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't keep too much of cash levels, and the reasoning why I say that 10,000 is only possible beyond December because 2021 numbers as they stack up right now is around 500 EPS on the Nifty, and I don't think 20p beyond 20p is sustainable in these sort of market levels, and even a 15p lower than 15p is not sustainable. We saw those levels broadly at 7,500, 7,600. So at these levels also we are nimbling into our chosen set of stocks, and it all depends on how flows would be between now and December. That will decide how much of an allocation do we have in each of the stocks that we own.
Okay, I know you all are not in cash ever. Maybe I should ask you, how are you going to churn? Are you going to churn in favor of consumer staples? Will you churn in favor of pharma? Will you churn in favor of banks? What will be your pro sectors?
Ever since this whole COVID-19 lockdown has happened, we broadly feel that BFSI as a space is likely to be an underperformer, and so the allocations that we have had in the BFSI space is being reduced, and basically the allocation moves to consumer staples, IT and pharma. I mean, I think that these would be the stocks that would actually do much better than the financials.
In share prices as well, right? I actually wanted to drill a little deeper on the financials aspect. You just mentioned that you're shifting away from financials. Now, is that an across the board call, or is it only an aversion to NBFCs? And how do you expect financial stocks to play out, because some of them have been extremely volatile, even the large banks?
Yeah, so the longer the lockdown continues, I think the worse for the financial sector stocks per se, because you'll have difficulty in collections. And obviously, NBFCs are slightly worse off in this whole moratorium issue. They are really not getting the moratorium, is what we understand, and there would be pressure on both the liability side as well as the the non-performing loans or the credit cost. So I think if we were to choose between banks and NBFCs, broadly we are more in favor of banks than NBFCs, and we have broadly sold Bajaj Finance in this whole lockdown, and we have allocated that portion to HUL in our portfolio. So moving away from NBFCs into consumer staples.
Okay, Manish, what about autos? Because we have had a decent run, and early theory is that these are good prices because post-COVID, private ownership is going to make a big comeback, especially for two-wheelers. Do you agree with that view?
Not only two-wheelers, even the passenger cars. What we see, the evidence is coming out of China. Big surge in passenger car sales. Of course, that's on the back of stimuli that has been given by the Chinese government. But out here, healthcare and lifestyle is going to be the focus area once we go out of this whole lockdown. And obviously, owning your own vehicles is going to make much more sense, and people are really going to avoid public transportation to the extent possible. And the fact that autos has not been doing well over the last 1.5 to 2 years due to a plethora of reasons, whether it be the insurance hike, registration charges increase, and BS4 to BS6 transition resulting in operating costs going up for vehicle owners. I think, all these issues have really played out in the prices that we see in the auto stocks. The valuations are very, very conducive. If you take the anecdote of what happened in 2008-9, post, this Lehman crisis issue, we really saw next 2 years hyper growth for all the three segments, whether it be two-wheelers, pass cars, and CVs. And at that point in time, we were coming off a very high base. But right now, as it is, expectations are quite low, and now we have gone into this COVID-19. I think the pent-up demand in the automobile space is significant, and to that extent, I think automobiles as a space are going to do much better. And in the pecking order within the automobile space, I think it's going to be pass cars first, the passenger vehicles first, and then two-wheelers, and obviously MHCVs are going to take some more time, and it is only going to be in 2022 that you're going to see some pullback in the degrowth that you are seeing in the medium and heavy commercial. So pass cars first, two-wheelers, and then MHCVs.
Okay, Manish, over the weekend there was this recommendations from about 50 Indian Revenue Service officials, and though of course the whole idea of higher taxes, a super tax for the rich, 40%, and COVID cess was bashed up by government sources saying that they had never asked for this kind of advice. It could well be a trial balloon. Therefore, how would you approach this? How the government is going to finance the deficit? Is there a lurking fear of higher taxes? If it were to actually happen, how will you position yourself as an investor?
It's going to be a very retrograde step if there was to be a 40% marginal tax rate, the peak tax rate, or let's say a wealth tax getting introduced, or some other form of taxes coming through. I mean, it's not going to be good for the capital markets as a whole, which has been dealing with higher rate of taxes. Now dividends are also getting taxed at the marginal tax rate. So I don't know. CBDT has actually said that it's not come out from them, and the government has also said that there's nothing on the cards on that front. But if you were to look at how the government is actually going to finance the fiscal deficit, I mean, there can only be two ways: either monetization or borrowings. And revenue collections, obviously, for fiscal 2021 is going to be a challenge, because 32% increase is definitely not going to be there. So fiscal deficit is already running at 5.5%. 6%, and if you include states, another 3%, plus some fiscal stimulus to be coming about to the extent of 2%. We're talking about 10% fiscal deficit. I mean, really, if the rich are going to get taxed much more than what they have already been, it's going to be a dampener for the capital markets per se. I think the markets are going to get even more defensive, and risk taking would be totally off the table.
Well, for now, I mean, of course, the Finance Ministry and the CBDT itself have completely distanced themselves from the report. In fact, they're talking about taking disciplinary action against the IRS officers, because this was not even a commissioned study. But I want to get back to that interesting point on, moving to FMCG and moving away from financials. Now, you mentioned Bajaj Finance, Manish. I mean, this is just to understand the point, not really stock-specific call, but from 5,000, almost 5,000 to 2,000, value has been destroyed by more than half. So isn't the worst already in the price? And what's the market's worry? Is it further price damage, or is that a recovery for NBFCs is just going to be a very, very long haul?
So leverage cuts both ways. If it benefits you on the upside, it also damages too much on the downside. So out here, we are not talking about Bajaj Finance have excessing leverage. I think the fear is job losses and the extent of 35-40% of their book being unsecured loans. And the fact that morat is not coming on the liability side for them, and public deposits are just about 15%. I mean, of course, they are well capitalized, and liquidity buffer is to the extent of 10% of the loan book. But the point remains that, the growth is going to come off very, very significantly. I think FY21, we are talking about 0 to 5% growth. Credit costs going up 100% from 1.75% to 3.5%. I mean, in all that backdrop of 4 times price to book really doesn't look sustainable when you're getting banks of the likes of HDFC Bank at 3 times price to book. So it's all about relative valuation, and it's all about margin of safety in the financial space. And I think the environment is such that it's more conducive and safe to buy banks as opposed to NBFC. I understand, Bajaj Finance is a marquee name, they have excellent credit underwriting capabilities, and they'll be able to control costs significantly when the going is bad. But everything put together, the fact that they have a large outstanding loan growth, unsecured loan book, and growth is going to be a challenge. These valuations really are unsustainable unless the valuations for the financial sector as a whole goes up. So that's the whole point that I'm trying to make. And the market today are in a risk-off mode, and obviously when we bet on financials, and of course financials are going to be required and they are going to come back, but the whole point is that it's going to be a risk-on environment for the financials to take off, and valuations have been cut across the board, and today it's more about safety rather than your capital appreciation. And in that environment, obviously FMCG or pharmaceuticals, or to some extent IT, are going to be the new leaders as opposed to financials, which really have been the darling of the bosses over the last many years.
Yeah, that point is taken. But Manish, the market's got one part of leadership back, which is Reliance, after that Facebook deal. But your thoughts on whether it's still good at this price, because this one part of the business which has done really well, but the traditional part of the business now is under some stress.
The traditional part of the business is under significant stress, but I think the Reliance stock is today trying to point out to investors that it's more of a retailing and a telecom story as opposed to a petrochem and refining story. And obviously all the incremental capex has really gone into the telecom and retailing side of things. So obviously there's a re-rating on the multiples, that's part of the course. And if you see in the lockdown, ARPUs on the telecom space has gone up to 145, 150, and beyond 200 rupees ARPU, you're going to see a non-linear acceleration in profits for the telecom players as a whole. And within that space, obviously Reliance stands to gain. And again, coming to anecdotes coming out of China, we have seen that internet usage in China has really ballooned in the wake of the lockdown, and going beyond also the internet usage has really kept up, and that's also going to be the case in the case of India. So ARPUs are definitely on the up move, and I think RPMs have seen more or less a floor. And it all boils down to how they are going to look at the debt. And obviously Mr. Ambani has actually promised that it's going to be an unleveraged company within the course of next 1 year or so. And if that comes about, a serious re-rating on Reliance is on the cards. Obviously you have to build in some sort of a degrowth in the petrochemical space. There is excess capacity and excess supply in the petrochemicals, and when the usage is not that great, obviously you're going to see prices come off for the commodity space. But even said that, I think the stock, Reliance, is going to command higher multiples than what it has been in the past. So from that point of view, I think I'm positive on Reliance as a stock even going forward.
Okay, Manish, well, good talking to you as always. Thank you very much for joining, and you have a good day, and we'll catch up again hopefully soon. Well, now it is time to move to some of the corporate conversations of the morning. Let's kick